Essentially, what's going on is that the writer of Matthew is taking Matthew chapter number 2, and what he's doing is he's saying, hey, this happened to Jesus, or excuse me, this happened to Jesus, but I see this pattern, and it also happened to here in the Old Testament, or to um, um, the people of God. So specifically in this example with Hosea, right? Israel, we know in Exodus is called the Son of God, right? Which we can affirm based on Hosea, out of Egypt I called my son, and then God begins to speak about how uh, Israel turned against him. Okay, so we know Israel's called the Son of God. And the writer is looking at this and saying, hey, Jesus is also called the Son of God, right? Except, and then he sees this parallel where the Son of God, as in Israel, gets called out of Egypt, but then the Son of God, as in Jesus, also gets called out of Egypt. The difference, though, is that in these two instances, or in these parallels, is that Israel, the Son of God from the Old Testament, gets called out of Egypt, goes into the wilderness and fails. Jesus, the Son of God, gets called out of Egypt, gets baptized, goes into the wilderness, and succeeds the testing, right? The temptation of Jesus we're aware of when Satan visits him. And so the argument is essentially that what the persons or the writers of the New Testament are doing is they're looking for parallels and patterns that correlate to the life and ministry of Jesus Christ seen in the Old Testament, that either prefigure, foreshadow, or align with him in some way. Does that make sense?